reply to those three questions, then we'll take some more supplementary. Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue, first and foremost, related to the parking that the Honorable Senator from Mombasa raised in terms of the costs, sheer cost. I could not agree with the Senator more. This is a matter that we have raised with the Treasury, and I actually raised the matter also in my presentation to the BPS in the National Assembly, that if indeed we want to develop the value chain and we want to pack tea and take it out of the country as packed tea and therefore creating jobs, just like we are trying to do with macadamia, then it follows without saying that the approach of the entire value chain has got to be multifaceted and from a no-government approach. That is to say that you cannot give with one hand and take with the other. So if we want to develop the packing, because packed tea from Kenya, once you pack tea from Kenya, it will be 3 times as expensive as packed tea, for example, in Dubai. And this is as a result of the increased taxes related to packing paper. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we have engaged the Treasury to ensure that this and other measures, not just this one, these and other measures that can be a hindrance to the value chain development are removed. And it's a matter that I have written to and raised. And I would like this House, when it comes to the issue of budgets, supporting budgets, discussing budgets, I would appeal to this House and the National Assembly to also look at it from a holistic perspective, to look at the budgeting process as a holistic approach to resolving the many areas and growth areas that we are looking at as a nation. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of EPZ and the blending of tea, it is indeed true that countries across the world kind of protect what they have first to ensure that the local industry is not affected and people don't come and say that they are blending when, as a matter of fact, they want us to come and utilize it locally. So I agree with you that it is necessary, I agree with you through the chair, through the Speaker, I agree with you that it is necessary to do anything possible, if it means importing and then blending it, creating more jobs in our nation, whether it is coffee, whether it is tea, if it means that we're importing and blending it here, the way they do it, for example, at the DMCC, then it makes sense to us. Because again, we are creating more jobs. And we have done that before. We have done it with teas from across the world, where the buyers, to create specific teas for buyers overseas, we have imported teas to blend them here. And we would like to blend them here as much as possible, not to blend them out there, because the minute you blend them out there, you export jobs. If we blend them here, we create jobs. So I would like to assure the Senator that, again, the Tea Board is looking at the entire policy framework. Because for me, the sing-song is jobs, 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 jobs. As long as we can create jobs, whatever needs to be done, and as long as we can increase our exports, whatever needs to be done, we will proceed to do. Mr. Speaker, and I want also to thank the Honourable Senator, for hosting both the coffee and the tea auctions in Mombasa. That is where we are heading for straight after this discussion to deal with some of those things. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of macadamia, the Senator the Honourable Senator raised the issue of the solution that lies in terms of the eliminating or getting rid of the current bulk. Because what essentially, I understand you correctly, Senator, is that you are saying that the bulk that is there, the oversupply that currently exists as a result of us stopping the one that was leaving. I think, as I said earlier, the best way is to engage together. And we discuss this matter because there are 2 solutions to it. One solution is what you are proposing. The other solution is to ensure that the persons who are processing, since they are saying they have got 120,000 metric tons capacity to process, and they are saying that the market is wide open and there is demand, then, just like we did with the wheat farms, The best way is to say you are the processors, uptake everything we have got at once, so that we do not have bulk oversupply that is therefore creating a downward spiral in terms of the pricing. But nevertheless, whether it is downwards or otherwise, the price set is a minimum of 100 shillings. That is the price set, and that is the price agreed upon. So it is actually illegal. It is actually illegal for a processor to come and propose buying at less than 100. But I suspect that what could be happening is some middlemen could be buying from the farmer, suppressing the farmer price, and then going and getting their normal price at the processing. And one of the reasons why we want to engage the farmers directly is exactly this issue. If we had the farmers cooperative or farmer circle engaging directly with the nut association, it would be very easy to deal with that issue, to say nobody is going to pay less than the agreed amount. And that's where we would like, we would like to get. So the important thing is for us to very quickly, and I urge the honorable senators and the other members of in leadership and those in leadership to really help us to get these farmers together so that we can be able to benefit. There will be resistance because people in that business are not also just going to sit back and watch the farmers getting together and eliminating them. So you can expect some resistance. But I think that the end here justifies the means. And I think we have to do what it takes. On the issue of the issue raised by the Honorable Senator regarding the Sugar Act and regulations thereof, the policy of the government is to consolidate as much as we can because it makes it easier. It's cheaper for the taxpayer when we consolidate when we as many of the crops, or the scheduled crops as we can. However,
what's your point of order?
I'm Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, Senior Counsel.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
That is quite a mouthful. So in this house, you can be referred to as Senator Ojenda. Proceed, Cabinet Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am very conversant with the titles of Senator Ojenda because he happens to be a personal friend of mine. However, I completely concur that indeed he is a professor of law. Regarding the question that the Honorable Senator asked on, is in terms of regulation, again, I repeat that the idea is to consolidate because it makes more sense, it is easier to manage. However, where, for example, like in the Sugar Act, and I apologize to the House because I'm supposed to have sent the regulations by now, but it takes a bit of the public hearings and so on, take a bit of time. But I will ensure that in the soonest possible time I bring the regulations. In the case of sugar, for instance, one of the reasons why it is managed the way it is because, don't forget, Mr. Speaker, that we are in the process of going into a PPP with various organizations in order to streamline the sugar industry and to ensure that the sugar farmer benefits from bringing in the sugar, farming the sugar, and getting paid, more importantly, bringing the sugar and getting paid for it. And the way we have determined that and working closely with the leadership of the sugar growing areas is to license people who are going to manage or work together with the farmers in those areas. And therefore, at that juncture, then the duty of AFA is dramatically reduced and hence not necessary to engage as much as we want to engage with other crops. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order? And the Cabinet Secretary has already sat down.
Bwana Spika, swali langu sisi wakulima anasinda na mambo ya kuelimishwa, mambo ya society na mambo vile makadamia itauzwa. Tunauliza ni ungumu gani ama ni usito gani uwezi kumbalia mkulima miezi 6 ndio sisi tukiwa kamati ya agriculture na wale wengine ndio tuwaelimishe. Tunataka makandamia iwe variation kama majani kama kahawa. Kwa hivyo sisi tunauliza ni ungumu gani uwezi kutoa barua kwa kipindi ya miezi 6. Hiyo ndio swali langu Bwana Speaker.
Okay, Cabinet Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we did agree that vile tumekubaliana ni kwamba tukutane, tusuruhishe hiyo maneno mkutano ile tutafanya, lakini kutoka hapa nilivyo siwezi kuamua mara moja kwa sababu ni lazima nisungumuze pia na wale wengine, nisungumuze na nyinyi, nisungumuze na academia nas, nisungumuze na wale processors, ndio tusuruhishe hiyo maneno. Asante sana, Bwana Speaker.
Asante waziri. Senator Esther Okinyuru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to first congratulate the new Cabinet Secretary in that department. My question is, farmers in both Kisii and Nyamira counties have actually tried to deal with the issues of low prices, low quality, and consequently low bonus. Because when I look, recently they held a meeting last month which brought together Nyansiongo Tea Factory, Ogembo Tea Factory, Everege Tea Factory, Nyamache Tea Factory, which is on the west of the rift. Tea which is on the east of the rift is termed of high quality, and farmers in those areas get quite some wholesome bonus. Why is it that in our regions, even after farmers have tried to implement all that has been suggested to them, we are still reaping very little in terms of bonus, Cabinet Secretary? I see there is an issue of testing. Do we have to have someone who's testing by their tongue? Aren't there any other scientific means we would employ so that we give fair chance to tea farmers on the west of the rift to also feel they are part of this process, and there is value for the agriculture of the tea farming that they are actually engaging, Cabinet Secretary, so that we don't feel like we are actually, our efforts go in vain, Cabinet Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to make a Mr. Speaker, if you will allow me, I would like to first of all congratulate Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, somebody that I know very well and I've worked with before. So Waziri, I karibisha you to this murky waters of our issues. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I have listened carefully what the CS has said, and I wanted to bring him up to speed on something called pyrethrum. CS, pyrethrum is one of the products that has been historically very useful in terms of upgrading the income levels and economic activities in the areas that I represent, and that is Kisii County.
Senator Onyonka.
Yes.
You know you're a veteran in this house.
Yes.
You know very well that you're supposed to ask a supplementary question in reference to the main question that was asked in this house. I was
going to bring it with macadamia also. I'm just, I don't know what that means.
There is a relationship between pyrethrum and macadamia.
Yes.
Interesting. I would like to hear this.
Thank you, sir. The relationship is that these are two products, macadamia and pyrethrum, have a high value. They are basically products which have got a huge international market, and their prices are extremely well taken care of. If you realize, Mr. CS, at one time, pyrethrum after tea was the largest product that Kenya was exporting, because pyrethrin is a product that is natural, that is used even in aeroplanes and all that. I wanted to ask the CS, why is it that we have got success in macadamia, and to a large extent the industry is growing, and yet our pyrethrum has just died? That is the link I wanted to bring. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Doherty.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've been looking for the the attention to us for this question. First of all, let me congratulate our Honorable CS for Agriculture and assure him, Honorable CS, that we are expecting a lot from you, especially because you do come from the farming communities. So the agricultural counties across the whole country are expecting a lot from you. But having said that, I have traveled to the US on several occasions, and I have walked through the largest supply chain, being the Walmart. Our tea products, Honorable CS, I hope your officers can stop distracting you because this is an important question. Our tea products, our coffee products are not in the US market. And Honorable CS, if you listen to some of the questions that are being asked here, it's about the price of that tea commodity, coffee commodity, and the amount of money that is getting into the farmers' pockets. They have a problem. The price that is being paid for tea per kilo is not commensurate to the cost of living. It's not commensurate to the input that is being put in the farms. Honorable Speaker, Honorable CS, what is the ministry doing to ensure that we access better markets, achieve better prices for our coffee and tea products, and how do we ensure that those prices, once they are paid, that they get into the farmers' pockets, and that we reduce the people, middlemen, who are cutting away money from the bonuses and payments that are due to tea, especially the banks which are taking very high interest rates. Is there nothing the ministry can do to ensure that farmers are receiving, if they receive finance from any bank, based on the guarantee of their bonus or the tea price, that the same is not wiped away by interest rates that are being cutted away by commercial banks? What is the ministry doing to mitigate that?
Let's take one more question from Senator Paul Thangwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question, and first of all, is to congratulate the CS in his role as the CS Agriculture. But my question, Mr. Speaker, we understand when this macadamia ban was effected, the good CS was not the CS then. So I would want to urge him, please do not defend this ban. Do not defend it. Because we do have information, some cartels infiltrated the ministry to have this ban effected so that they can be the sole supplier or purchasers of this macadamia. And since they understand the farmers do not have very nice storage facilities, they will sell to them at a throwaway prices. So, Bwana CS, it is my question, because you have said you cannot announce it today here. And I just want to remind you, if you treat Kenyans abnormally, they will treat you abnormally, Bwana Speaker. What I would want to urge you, give us a timeline when you're going to consult with Kenyans. Just lift this ban with the citation that it never went through public participation, so that farmers can sell their macadamia wherever they want to sell. So my question is, what timelines are you going to consult the farmers so that you can remove this ban? Thank you very much, Bwana CS.
One more question from Senator Wafula.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity once more to appreciate and congratulate the Minister for Agriculture for the appointment and a good job being done currently. Mr. Speaker, my question is in tandem and in line with what my friend Senator Onyonka had just put down, that the tea industry, I can see here the stakeholders are clearly comparing notes and exuding confidence on the content about tea. Waziri, I want to request that this similar engagement that is being seen on the tea sector can be extended to the coffee sector in the western part of the Republic of Kenya. Because the coffee farmer in the western circuit and North Rift, Waziri, most of them are not getting anything above 80 shillings as the prices ought to be. And I'll be glad as a member and the chair of Agriculture to organize sessions and platforms in the Western Belt to articulate that particular matter. And as you all know, Honorable Waziri, the production of, good production of coffee, tea, maize, and all that goes in line with fertilizer. I would also want to request that that particular part of the country should be addressed, and specifically my concern is in Mount Elgon region, because they don't have the last mile connectivity of fertilizer to Cheptais, Kapsakwony zone, and looking forward to that engagement. And finally, what is your ministry doing to prop up macadamia farming in Bungoma County, Western Region, and in particular Tongareni constituency, where macadamia is farmed, but we have never seen the foot of government on the ground? Thank you, Waziri.
What's your point of order, Senator Faki?
Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna swala la malumbukizi ya chai katika auction ya Mombasa kwa sababu ya bei iliyoko juu ya chai hiyo. Je, waziri atafanya nini kuhusiana na swala hilo? Na vile vile pia serikali ilitoa mwongozo kwamba kunywa chai maofisini imefungwa kwa sababu ya mambo ya kukaza mshipi. Je, kuna mipango ya kuondoa agizo hilo ili chai iweze kununuliwa kwa wingi na watu waweze kunywa chai katika maofisi? Asante.
Cabinet Secretary.
Let me deal with it's quite a number. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. From the outset, the last question, tungetaka sana watu wakunywe chai sana maofisini na nyumbani, lakini wajua saa ingine hela inaleta shida, na sio tu nyumbani, hata kwa serikali saa ingine inaleta shida. Na tukinywa sana tunaletwa hapa tuzungumzie hiyo maneno na fedha hizo zilitoka wapi na tunapoteza pesa namna gani na kunywa chai. Kwa hivyo bwana senator, hiyo inakata na njia mbili, lakini sana sana we would like to encourage people to have as much tea as possible. Mr. Speaker, I will not go by any particular order because there's quite a number of issues to respond to, but I'll try and put some system into it. First and foremost, the issue of Senator Onyoka's issue regarding pyrethrum, and you are right, Mr. Speaker, I had not actually prepared myself to speak on the issue of pyrethrum because I was coming to speak on the issue of tea and macadamia, but I'll say this to the Honorable Senator, that it is true that there needs to be some attention given to the area of pyrethrum, and the government through AFA is actually looking at pyrethrum. In fact, I've gotten some letters from pyrethrum farmers who want me to go and see them and discuss various things, including payments that apparently that they have not received for a while. So I am alive to the fact that there are issues regarding both pyrethrum and cotton that we need to visit the areas and address. And I undertake to do so. But however, having said that, the prices of pyrethrum through the AFA offices have actually been going up over the last 3 years. And you will recall that the pyrethrum issue started deteriorating because of inconsistencies of production. The markets that we were serving in the United States started looking elsewhere. So if we go into this, one of the issues that we'll have to address very carefully is consistency in production. That once we introduce ourselves to a market, we must consistently supply that market. Because what happens is that once you break the supply, then the markets look elsewhere, and it becomes very difficult to reintroduce them back to ourselves. So we need to look at both growing as well as the stability in the market. However, AFA is in fact providing dryers, among other inputs, to try and help the pyrethrum sector, and also working on the markets that we have. I undertake, as I said, it is not something I was quite ready to respond to, but I agree with the attention that it deserves. And in the issue of the quality of tea, again, in response to the quality, which I had alluded to in the discussion that I had, actually testing has got nothing to do with the quality, and the testing cannot improve or otherwise the quality. What is going to improve the quality is a crop husbandry, and what we do in all the way from how we plant and treat the tree, how we especially harvest the tea. Because what has been happening in some of those areas, and that is why in the area address that we made, we banned hawking. And one of the reasons we banned hawking is that once hawkers come into the market, what they are doing is that, and you have heard about it, Honorable Speaker, you have even heard about theft of tea in the Kericho area and other areas, theft of tea. People even plucking tea at night. You know, when that tea comes, because you are unable to tell which part of which tea is that, so what happens is that one bunch spoils the whole, you know, one apple, so to speak, as the song sang. One apple spoils a whole bunch of apples. So if we get one or two errant traders or hawkers bringing in tea that is not good, it messes with the whole crop. So it is in the interest of leadership, it is in the interest of farmers, and we have directed the Kenya Tea Board to ensure that this is done, that restriction, the issue of harvesting is harvested properly. If that is done, there should be no difference in terms of the quality of tea. So, and let's not forget that the buyer of these teas is not ourselves. You know, Kenya is a very small market for our tea. The larger part of our tea market is overseas, and they determine the teas that they want to buy, not us. KTDA does not determine who is going to buy the tea from Egypt. They will simply come and choose their own tea and take it. That's the market. So the issue of the quality is something for us to address, both as farmers, even a security issue, because it is currently even a security issue, where people are stealing tea from farms. So I agree with the Honorable Senator that there is some work to be done there, but the policy framework that we have introduced, some of which I have announced even today earlier, is what is going to be the answer to some of those differences in the tea quality, east, west, north, south, particularly in the west. But the gap is not that big. We just need to be a bit more strict and firm, because what happens is that when you ban hawking, then somebody somewhere who has got that kind of business starts to put political pressure so that we open hawking, you know, and then we go back to square A. So I would like also the support of the House to ensure that when we take those measures, that we stick to them. When we tell the independent tea processors that they must buy from farmers, not from hawkers, then again, we would like the support, you know, of the leadership in the area and the House, so that we stick to that and we don't cave in to political pressure that comes in by those who are the practitioners of what practices that mess up with our tea. Mr. Dhanwa, I thank you. Honorable the Senator Dhanwa, I thank you. And the issue of the ban affected, first and foremost, let me express something. This ban was lifted for a year. All right? Some time back, the ban on the exportation was lifted for a year. And the agreement was that within that year, then it would not be necessary to extend it again. Following that discussion, the ban was extended for another 1 month. All right? We are now at a place where the year has gone, the month has gone, we are still discussing the ban. That is why I am saying, for me to make a pronouncement on that issue and make a decision on it, it is not a singular decision. It's a consultancy. It is a decision full of consultancy, including the nut people themselves, because if they are able to take up everything we have, then it will not be necessary to open up, but they would have to take it up. So allow me, give me the next 2-3 weeks so that I'm able to engage on that, on those issues, because they are profound and important. Again, the chair of the agricultural sector raised the issue of the coffee sector and the control and quality of Western, North Rift, and so on. In my view, I think the future of coffee and the future of the coffee sector is largely going to be in those areas that large farms still exist. We now know that west of the Rift, Bungoma, you know, places like Narok, Kericho, there is now big farmers who are starting to grow coffee in those sectors, and we want to support them. We want to make sure that we support that sector as much as we can. Again, the quality of the tea, whether tea or coffee, is something that goes to husbandry, and the taste of the coffee or otherwise is what is going to determine who buys that coffee. So it is very difficult to enforce, purchase that does not discuss the qualities. The quality determines the price. And what I would like to see, and what we are working on through the AFA, is also to engage the farmers. As you say, some of those areas are very new coffee farming areas, but we are ensuring that our presence is felt. As early as late as last week, I was engaging Governor Sang in Nandi, who wants me to go and open coffee factories in Nandi, and I have agreed to do so. And in those engagements, that's when we address the issue of quality and say this is the way we must deal with it. The only response to quality and price. When you discuss price, you discuss quality. You never discuss price leaving out the word quality. And you never discuss quality without discussing price. One follows the other, and that's the way the market is. And I think there is a big future in terms of that's where the land is. There is more land in that area. In the traditional coffee growing areas and tea growing areas, the land division is a problem. And they have become such small sizes that the future is doubtful in some of those areas. So even the productivity per acre is another issue that we are having to deal with. Then on the matter of loans, I think I wanted to inform the following, that the green leaf loans, that are given by the board, are actually at 8%. The loan is given at 8%. We also encourage that our farmers borrow from the Agricultural Finance Corporation. The AFC loans are at 10%, and obviously, when you go to the commercial farmers, and some farmers do, I couldn't agree with you more, that the interest rates are actually prohibitive. It is difficult to make money borrowing at those kind of rates. But the other way of supporting them is not just by borrowing, it's also the inputs that the government has to put in. And I would like to seek, Mr. Speaker, that we understand as a nation and as a house, as parliament, that there is no country in the world that runs a successful agricultural sector without subsidies. We have to be prepared to subsidize the farmers. We have to be prepared to subsidize the livestock, the livestock people. There is no nation that can do it simply on a commercial basis. If there is no subsidized fertilizer, subsidized seeds, which is the area that I would like to get into now, let's subsidize fertilizer even further than we can, as long as our budgetary constraints expand a little bit. The fiscal space allows us. Let's give more money to subsidies in terms of all inputs that we have. Let's remove any taxes thereof for farm inputs. That way we can compete effectively and our farmers can earn something. But let's not forget that a French cow is subsidized to the tune of $2 per day. $2 per day. That is the competition we have out there. So let's never kid ourselves that if we leave our farmer to the free market, they will survive and expand and grow. That's not going to happen. And it's not just the small-scale farmers, even the large-scale farmers, because some crops like wheat are grown in large scale. They are not grown in small scale. So I once again would urge that the institutions that we have, they try as much as possible and borrow from the institutions that we have. We are in the process of recapitalizing the AFC to give them a bit more space so that they are able to lend more money to the farmers that they currently than they have been, because they have also been squeezed. And as you know, we changed policy to also look a lot more at providing a working capital as opposed to purchasing of properties. We didn't close it completely, but we did say let's emphasize more on provision of working capital. And that hopefully can try and mitigate a little bit in that space. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Senator Ndwati.
Could the Honorable Cabinet Secretary explain how the access to affordable loans for farmers is being done? Because what you will find with the AFC is that the big farmers are able to access those facilities, but the small farmers even have no idea of their existence. The small tea farmers and the coffee farmers have no idea of the existence of a cheaper loan from institutions like AFC. So you will find they are asking from the commercial banks in the market who are ripping them off with 15, 16, 17% of interest. So by the time they come around to receive their bonus, all of it is swiped out of the pockets by the commercial banks. How do we ensure that access to the AFC is information that is available to the small-scale farmers who are
What's your
struggling
point of
with
order,
GM?
Senator Kajong?